Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, where the undead rise, shadows whisper, and every tale pulls you deeper into the darkness. Here, we bring you spine-chilling zombie stories filled with terror, suspense, and the unknown. Are you brave enough to venture into the world where the line between the living and the dead no longer exists? If you love thrilling zombie tales, gripping survival horror, and eerie post-apocalyptic nightmares, then you're in the right place. But beware, once you enter, there's no turning back. Before we dive into tonight's terrifying story, make sure to hit that like button to support the channel. Subscribe now and press the bell icon so you never miss a chilling new tale. Share this story with your friends, but only if they can handle the horror. We love hearing from you, so leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Did this story send shivers down your spine? Do you have any ideas or suggestions for our next terrifying adventure? Your feedback helps us bring you even scarier, more thrilling content. Now, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare yourself. The horror begins now.
Light will unite as the horror unfolds in the zombie story zone. Adventure never grows old. Grades and laughter, it's a crazy mix.
The town of Willow Creek had always been peaceful, a quiet, picturesque place where neighbors greeted each other, children played in the park until sunset, and the biggest thrill of the year was the fall festival. But everything changed when a groundbreaking virtual reality game, Eclipse of the Undead, was released. Unlike anything before it, this game didn't just transport players into a digital world, it made them feel everything. The icy wind, the scent of decay in the air, even the pain of a zombie bite, a dull ache, simulated by nerve impulses through the VR headset. The technology was astonishing. It blurred the line between reality and fiction in a way no game had ever done. At first, people were obsessed. Everyone in town played, students, parents, even teachers. It wasn't just a game, it became a lifestyle. But as the weeks passed, subtle changes began to surface. Players complained of fatigue, headaches, and insomnia. Some reported hallucinations, claiming they could see zombies out of the corners of their eyes even when they weren't playing. Others experienced a terrifying sense of déjà vu, as if the world outside the game was starting to mirror the one inside. And then, people started disappearing. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor of her dimly lit bedroom, her laptop resting on her knees. The glow from the screen illuminated her face, casting sharp shadows across her worried expression. Lines of encrypted code scrolled endlessly before her eyes, numbers and symbols flashing in patterns that made her stomach twist. She wasn't just playing Eclipse of the Undead, she was dissecting it. Across the room, Jake lounged on her bed, scrolling through his phone. "Emma, I swear, if this is another one of your crazy conspiracy theories." Emma ignored him, biting her lip as she worked. She had been running tests on the game's software all evening, diving deeper into the system than any normal player ever would. And what she had found terrified her. "This isn't a theory, Jake," she murmured, barely blinking. "Something is wrong with this game." Jake sighed, setting his phone down. "Okay, fine. What did you find?" Emma hesitated. "How do I even explain this?" She took a shaky breath and turned the laptop screen toward him. "This is the game's base code. But look at this," she highlighted a buried script, a set of commands hidden beneath the main framework. "These aren't standard game mechanics. They're neurological triggers." Jake frowned. "Come again?" Emma's voice lowered to a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might make the horror more real. "This game isn't just reading players' movements. It's interacting with their brains." Jake sat up, suddenly alert. "You mean, like, how?" Emma ran a hand through her hair, frustration leaking into her voice. "The VR headset, it's more advanced than anything on the market, right? It stimulates touch, smell, even pain. But that's not all. This script here," she pointed at a flashing sequence. "It mimics real-world cognitive functions. It's adjusting brain activity in ways that shouldn't be possible." Jake's brow furrowed. Wait, hold up. Are you saying the game is rewiring people's brains?" Emma swallowed. "Yes. And I think it's doing more than just that. She pulled up another data stream, showing a list of players and their neural responses recorded during gameplay. Look at these patterns, she said. At first, normal. But the longer someone plays, the more these erratic spikes appear. They mirror sleep deprivation, sensory hallucinations, even signs of psychosis. Jake's mouth went dry. He remembered the news reports, people talking about strange visions, feeling like they were still in the game even when they weren't. Some had gone missing. Jesus, he whispered. And no one's noticed this? Emma shook her head. I don't think they're supposed to. She clicked a file labeled Project Lazarus. The screen flickered. A window popped up, filled with redacted text and classified warnings. Jake leaned in. What the hell is this? Emma exhaled shakily. It's an experiment, Jake. The whole game. She scrolled through the document. Someone, whoever made this, is testing how far they can push the human brain. The hallucinations, the aggression, it's not a glitch. It's deliberate. A sudden crash outside made them both jump. They turned toward the window. The street was mostly dark, save for the dim flicker of a faulty street lamp. A figure stood beneath it. At first glance, he looked normal. But as the light above him buzzed and flickered, Emma noticed the way he moved, twitchy, unnatural, wrong. Jake's breath hitched. Is that? The man jerked his head upward. His eyes were empty, his jaw slack, and his skin was deathly pale. Emma's stomach clenched. No. No, no, no. More figures emerged from the darkness, crawling from alleyways, stepping out of backyards. Jake's voice was barely a whisper. Emma, are they? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Because she could already see the mark behind their ears. The same spot where the VR headsets connected. And that's when she knew. This wasn't just a game. It was spreading. The first attack happened at a gas station. An elderly man, Mr. Dawson, had been standing at the counter, chatting with the cashier like he did every morning. His words suddenly slurred. His hands twitched. Then, without warning, he lunged over the counter and sank his teeth into the cashier's throat. Witnesses at the scene tried to pull him off, but Dawson was no longer an old man, he had the strength of something unnatural. He tore through flesh like it was paper, his bloodshot eyes unblinking, his mouth dripping crimson. Then came the screams. A mother and her son, standing near the snack aisle, tried to run. But Dawson was fast. He grabbed the mother's arm and snapped the bone like a twig. The woman's shriek echoed through the store. By the time the police arrived, the cashier was dead. Dawson was still chewing. And then, he turned his lifeless gaze toward the officers. They ordered him to stop. He didn't. A single gunshot rang out. Dawson's body staggered back, but then, something horrifying happened. He kept moving. Blood poured from the wound in his chest, but he didn't seem to feel it. His head jerked unnaturally, his jaw opened far too wide, and then he charged. The officers barely had time to react before Dawson ripped through their throats with his teeth. The news spread within minutes. Across town, more incidents erupted. At a high school, students in the middle of gym class suddenly collapsed, then stood up wrong. Their bodies convulsed before they turned on their friends, clawing and biting. One girl, who had been texting on the bleachers, didn't even have time to scream before her best friend's teeth sank into her shoulder. At a hospital, a nurse walked into a patient's room to check vitals, only to find the elderly woman thrashing violently in bed, her body bent at grotesque angles. Before the nurse could move, the woman lunged at her, tearing open her cheek with jagged teeth. 911 calls flooded the emergency lines. People reported their loved ones acting strangely, twitching, mumbling, staring into space with dead, hollow eyes. Some spoke of strange figures lurking in the streets, moving as if controlled by unseen strings. By nightfall, the entire town was infected. People locked themselves in their homes, but the infected weren't mindless. They remembered. They knocked on doors, called out in familiar voices, a father pleading with his daughter, a best friend begging to be let in. And when the doors opened, the screams never lasted long. The power flickered out. The police station fell silent. The hospital became a slaughterhouse. Willow Creek was no longer a town. It was hell on earth. And at the center of it all, the game servers for Eclipse of the Undead continued running, spreading the virus faster and further than anyone could have imagined. Arming themselves with whatever they could find, a baseball bat, a kitchen knife, a crowbar, they crept into the night. The town was unrecognizable. Cars lay abandoned in the streets, their doors left wide open. Storefronts had been smashed, and distant screams echoed through the air. The infected were everywhere. Emma and Jake moved carefully, but as they turned a corner, a rotting woman in a tattered dress lunged at them. Jake swung his bat. Crack! The creature's skull split open, but it barely staggered. "They don't go down easy," Jake yelled. Emma grabbed a fire extinguisher from a rec store, pulled the pin, and sprayed. A thick cloud of white foam engulfed the zombie, momentarily blinding it. "Run!" she screamed. They sprinted toward the lab, weaving between wrecked cars and fallen bodies. Just as they reached the facility, a massive horde spotted them. "Inside! Now!" Jake shoved Emma through the doors, slamming them shut just as the creatures reached them. Inside, the lab was eerily silent. Emma immediately got to work, using the advanced computers to analyze the virus. Hours passed in a blur of code, blood, and fear. Finally, Emma gasped. "I found it." She held up a vial of neuro-reprogramming serum. "This should override the virus's effects." Jake grinned. "Emma, you're a genius." Before they could celebrate, a loud bang at the door made their blood run cold. The horde had broken in. With no time to lose, they fought their way through the lab. Emma clutched the antidote tightly as Jake swung his bat, taking down zombies left and right. They reached the roof, where a broadcast station stood. "If we send the cure through the game's servers," Emma panted, "we can reverse the infection globally." Jake nodded. "Then let's do it." As zombies clawed their way toward them, Emma uploaded the antivirus into the system. The moment the upload completed, the infected froze. A silent tremor ran through their bodies as their eyes flickered. And then, one by one, they collapsed. Willow Creek was saved, but at a cost. Many were lost, and the survivors would never forget the nightmare they had endured. As Emma and Jake stood among the wreckage, she looked at him, exhaustion in her eyes. "We did it." Jake smiled. "Yeah. And you know what? I think we make a great team." She smirked. "Took you this long to figure that out?" But as they turned to leave, Emma's heart stopped. A figure stood in the distance, watching. The creators of Eclipse of the Undead had never meant for it to be just a game. It had been a test. And they were watching. The real nightmare was just beginning.
In the zombie story zone, let the fun begin. Welcome to the zombie story zone, where the tales of the undead are widely known. Trying to hunt, uncover the fright. In the zombie story zone, we'll survive the night. So come on down, don't be alone.